You know something, Roscoe? While I was over at the Young Fellas there, I learned something that, I didn't know we was in such a serious problem with. So my grandbaby came out. He about 9 years old, and he likes to play them there video games that you put up on the TV screen, and you got yourself a little remote control. It's just like real life, Roscoe. I mean, these people on these games, they look real as you and me. It's mind blowing. But anyway, he come out, and this boy, Jesus, he's lazy. This boy don't want to do nothing. He don't want to help around the house. He don't want to deliver newspapers. I told the young fella, I said, put your foot right up that youngster's arse. Get him out there making some money. Do something with himself in the summertime. But the young fella says, no, that's not how you do it nowadays. I said, well, all right, you do you. But while I was there, that young fella, he come up to his father and his mother, and I couldn't believe what I heard. So he come up to the young fella there, and he says, Paul, he says, I'd like to get me a new video game. He said, can you buy me a new video game? And there I am. I'm thinking, me being foolish, I'm thinking, it's going to cost maybe $10 or $20. And his father looked at me and he says, no, Paul, it's going to cost $100 to $120 for a video game. Can you believe that, Roscoe? Now, these youngins, I mean, when we was growing up, we gave most of the money we made to Mama so she could put food on the table. I mean, Papa, he was working his fingers to the bone down at the docks. You remember, Roscoe, what it was like back in them days, and even now times is hard. But these youngins, they'd rather spend $100 on a video game and give their money to Mama. And the systems to play them video games on cost damn near $1,000. I remember when we was young, Roscoe, we weren't allowed back in the house until the street lights came on. And that's how it was. I mean, during the evening, that was time for the older folks. That was time for them to watch their news and have their tea and coffee and spend time with one another. And the children were either to be inside playing in the bedroom and not to be heard now. Children were to be seen, not heard. Right? You remember, Roscoe, we stayed out until the lights came on. Nowadays, these kids, they sit in front of the television set with these video games, and that's all they want to do. Lord thunder, and it don't make a lick of sense to me. I was over at my sister's the other day, and she had her daughter there and had her grandbabies there, and her grandbabies, they must be 10, 12 years old right about now. I'd say somewhere around there anyways. So anyway, Roscoe, these youngins, they wanted to go to their friend's house, and the friend's house was just down the road. I mean, you could spit on it. It was shorter than a ballpark. I mean, it wasn't that big at all. Just down the street. She had to get their duffel bag out of the car, and she had to do them up water in some bottles and give them snacks and give them this whistle and make sure they knew the phone number and the address and all of this kind of stuff just to go 50 feet down the road to their friend's house. Now, I remember when we was growing up, Roscoe. Now, you remember, we just go and walk down to our friend's house, could be 10, 12 miles, and we still went down. I understand times is different now, Roscoe. I understand that things are different, and, it's more dangerous out there for children. I understand that. But I don't think there's any need to be babying them the way we are. I mean, good Lord Almighty, giving them 4 or 5 bottles of water to walk 50 feet. When we was thirsty, you remember, Roscoe, when we was thirsty, how'd we get our drinks? We drank from the garden hose. That's what we did. I mean, good Lord Almighty, nothing better than a cold drink of water from the garden hose. I mean, now, you got to remember that in a hot day, you got to let that you got to let that run just for a couple minutes so the cold water come out. Because you take that water when she first come out, boy, Jesus, that burn the lips right off you, huh? Take the pimples right off your arse, huh? But anyway, when those youngins got down there, they got all the way down there to about, like I said, about 50 feet down to their friend's house. And they went down, and I guess they went into the house, and all they did was play video games. That's all they did. They was only down there about an hour. They called to come home. I said, what they calling for? I can see them from the yard. Well, they got to know where we are. I said, boy, Jesus, if they forget that quick and can't see what's in front of them, good Lord Almighty, what they gonna do when they get older? But anyway, that don't mean nothing. You know, when we was younger, you remember, Roscoe, we went to a friend's house. You remember what we used to do, Roscoe? We used to play hockey in the streets. You remember what we used to do when a car came? You'd hear this, car. You'd hear car. That's what you'd hear, car. That's what you'd hear. You wouldn't. I mean, we all had sense. We wasn't going to play when a car was coming. And one of us would yell or all of us would yell, car.